Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Business with No Limits podcast, where we talk to businesses who are making an impact in their community, and we gain insights into how they've grown and the journey they've been on to date. I'm Justin Charlton Jones. I'm one of the coaches behind the No Limits community, and today I'm speaking to Steve Wright of our HR people. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much, Justin.
So first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us and to share some of your story. And just to start, could you just share what it is that you do and the services that our HR people offer? Although hopefully the title of the name
the title, yes, that's what it says on the
it's a bit of a giveaway. Yeah.
So we chose that name in particular. So when we're dealing and working with our clients, if there's an issue, they can say, please phone our HR people. And it's like being the HR guy. It seems to click. So as it says on the tin, our HR people is a franchise set up 5 years ago. And we work with clients of all different sizes and colours, supporting them in their growth and the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis. It's a business that is different for every day, and that's for all of the franchisees. They're all handling completely different things every day. It's fascinating, and that's why we continue to do it.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, one of the reasons I enjoy coaching is because of the variety.
Yes.
You know, you're constantly seeing different situations in different companies. I imagine that's what you've just been describing.
It is exactly right. And today, as an example, I'm working with a US-based company in relation to a joint venture and a nursery school who's struggling with some of their employment law obligations. So we'll just point in the right direction and make sure that they're protected.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting and keeps us on the ball.
Okay. And how did you come to set up our HR people? Because you said the business has been around for a few years now, but obviously you were doing quite a lot of things prior to that. So what was your journey that led you to the point where you decided that actually you wanted to own your own business?
So my background, if I go back, is retail, and during that time, successful. But not getting the sense of satisfaction I wanted to get, and I was training line managers up and put a training managers line training program together, and was getting more involved in training development. So when the opportunity came to join the training team, I did just that. Whilst I was at the training team, I started getting involved much more in the human resources side of things, and started looking around. Packages, appraisals, those sorts of things that you have to delve into. As the career progressed, moved into professional services, accountancy, those sorts of areas. And as time progresses, certainly sort of 90s, 2000s, there's a fair few redundancies. And you've heard this before, I'm sure. When the knock was on the door, yes, I decided, well, that's it. There's absolutely no way I'm going through that again. I can learn from how I was treated and make sure that I don't. I can help clients make sure that they don't treat their staff in the same way. So I went out on my own back in '99 and did interim to start with. Worked across a whole different range of sectors, including the public sector and charities. Again, full variety, absolutely loved it. And met along the way somebody I felt I could work with. I locked Alex into a room, and we put the franchise piece to her. This is what we can do. This is the difference we can make. And at the end, it was like, right, we're going to do this. We've got a brand name. We're going to go for it. And we then literally launched within a month. It's quite a journey to do that, and we physically launched in November 2019. Yeah, up at the CIPD conference. So I'm both legally qualified and HR masters, as you would expect, and then we launched at the conference there, and met our first franchisee there. So our first franchisee took the biggest gamble of all. We were just two strange people who'd run HR businesses successfully, yes, but didn't know us from Adam. In the end, she decided to join us, which was a great privilege to be involved with that, and we've grown slowly ever since.
Okay, and
so quite a journey.
It certainly sounds like it, and I suppose the next question is, what made you think about creating the franchise? What were the motivations or drivers that took you from being a successful interim HR director or whatever other roles you were fulfilling to actually saying I want to create a franchise?
Okay, so one of the things that I've always enjoyed doing, and Alex is the same, is the coaching and mentoring side of things. And a lot of what we do is mentor our franchisees. We shortcut those lessons that were hard learned for the both of us when we came out of corporate life, and that allows that shortcut those businesses to grow in front of your eyes, and it's a long-term relationship piece, and the long-term relationship piece is the key to it all. The franchise allows that to happen, but that's also the ethos that we have with our clients. The relationship is all. You're not just here doing a one-off project or whatever it is. You're growing yourself and learning a lot along the way when you work with these different businesses.
Okay, so you took the decision to set up the franchise. You spoke to Alex. I'm amazed you went from decision to launch in a month. So that's probably.
It was really quick. It was really quick. It was super quick. I'd done some groundwork, as you can appreciate, long before that. But the setup was super quick. It really was, and we had a good, strong brand name. Our skills at, if you like, client relationship, translate to the type of discussions we're having with potential franchisees. And let's face it, franchising is not for everybody. It's not. It's completely different from your corporate. And the transition that we assist with is that, if you like, that corporate or charity work that you've done to consulting, and running a business. It's a privilege to work with people to help them achieve that.
Yeah. So coming back to that point where you set it up, if you had the opportunity to go all the way back to the beginning, what would you do differently? Is there anything that you think, gosh, I wish we'd done that at this point?
Well, yes, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and we should all have it, and we should all learn from it. The biggest thing is to make sure that the message that you are giving about your brand and your ethics are completely fixed by the time you're having those conversations. We were winging it. Of course we were. We were winging it, but I say we got pretty close. We didn't do an Icarus and get too close to the sun. We were pretty clear about what we wanted to do. It was just how you put this across.
Yeah.
And that took a little bit of evolution. So we spent more time on that, and I think, had that been the case, we might have achieved our first franchisee sooner, because the message perhaps wasn't as clear as it could have been.
Okay, now that's a very interesting point, because it won't surprise you to know that I spend a lot of time talking to people about identifying their USP.
Yes.
Identifying the thing that they're going to talk about, which sets their business apart, and which ultimately describes why people should be using them rather than anybody else.
Yeah, fair
And
point.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
because I think a lot of people when they start a business are more focused on the process of delivery
Mm.
than they are on the marketing and how they're going to communicate with their
Yeah,
prospective
yeah,
customers, because invariably you're selling the product or the service, and so that's where you focus.
yeah. Agreed. So there was a to help us get that right. Um, I did take advantage of the um, free advice that the LEPs produce, and had a business coach for a short period of time. That was really useful to help to focus that.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
just going to interject and say LEPS is local enterprise
Partnerships.
partnership scheme, which is a sort of a
That's it.
government-backed organization.
Yeah, and I had a very experienced, thank you for that, and a very experienced advisor, who had worked in a franchise themselves. So that was a perfect fit for us. It was very useful, very valuable indeed. Yeah, we lost without John.
Yeah, and I think you've just made a very valid point there, which is if for people who are running a business, I mean, hopefully anyone who's watching this is at least familiar with the concept of coaching, even if they're not using a coach. But there are a multitude of local initiatives that provide
So,
support to fledgling businesses. And certainly in my own area, we have an organisation called Buckinghamshire Business First, which actually combines all of the different government-supported processes like LEPS, for example, under one banner, which is great. But yes, there's a lot of help out there. So thinking about being a business owner, and business owners clearly is the audience for the podcast and who are likely to be watching it. What have you been your biggest learnings? What have been the things that have really sort of made an impact? You thought, God, I wish I'd known that, or now I've learned that this is something that I would pass on to other people to be aware of, or to perhaps focus on.
okay. Um, okay. So there's not just one thing. There cannot be just one thing, because what you do as a business owner is much wider than that. You've got the finances, you've got time management, you've got working on the delivery on your business and in your business. So working on your business and finding time to do that is I would say my top tip, in effect. It's super easy to get involved in the more interesting stuff that your clients are bringing you, and ignoring things such as the marketing, the long-term business development, the finances, making sure your VAT is on time, and all those sorts of things. It's very easy to miss those if you're too engrossed. So your time management and making sure you do put time in your diary for the business development, working on your business, making sure your website's up to date, making sure your marketing is hitting the point, getting the stats, getting the data, and reacting to that. Being agile is a helpful reminder, I guess, to that.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, things like don't forget your dreaded VAT return every quarter, and obviously
Get it in your diary.
in the
Get
diary.
it in your diary. Make sure it pings up on a reminder.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if that's not your skill, outsource it. Get a bookkeeper to do it.
yeah,
Get them to sort it. And I learned that fairly early on. If it's not a strength, find somebody whose strength it is,
yeah,
and you can concentrate on what you do best, and help. And they will help you be more effective and more efficient in what you do, because those sort of distractions are out of the way.
yeah. And you raised a good point there. In when we're coaching clients, we often refer to this thing we call the skill fun matrix. I don't know whether you've ever come across this before, but it's very simple. You identify all the different ways in which you spend your time managing your business, and you might typically find that and we normally do this as part of a
Okay.
time audit, so
Mhm.
we can see exactly where somebody's time is going. But once we've identified those 10 to 15 things that they typically spend the majority of their time on, we plot them on this matrix. So it's very simple. Two axes. One is fun, one is skill. So that top right hand box is the stuff that you're very good at and you really enjoy.
Really enjoy it. Yeah, yeah,
And that's where your time should be focused, because that's the stuff that you are going to do really well and
yeah.
have fun doing.
That's exactly right. And I have these discussions with our potential franchisees, and I ask them three questions. So, what, if you like, is in your top box that you would really like to do and run your business, focusing on that, and that's where your marketing, your delivery, that's the foundation for your business, and that's going to be different for everybody. And I
Hmm.
guess that's where we're slightly unique, because each of the franchisees have their different top boxes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the first question. Second question is, what would you do for revenue? So it's not quite so much fun, but it
Hmm.
does fit in my skill set. And then the third question is, what do you really want to avoid? And that's often things like payroll or health and safety, which is fine because we've got solution providers for those, and we can put you in contact with them, so you
Yeah.
can offer the whole piece to your clients. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very good way of examining how you're using your time.
Exactly. And you made the point precisely there, which is that the opposite of that top right hand box is the bottom left hand one, which is the stuff that you don't enjoy and you're not good at. And as you said, delegate that, get rid of it.
Yeah,
Don't spend time on it, because
that's
it'll
right.
be unproductive, and you'll just end up feeling grumpy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
good.
good.
And so you talked about, don't forget you've got your VAT returns, and obviously corporation tax comes up as once a year as a nasty surprise as well. Are there any other sort of specific, is there any other specific advice that you'd give to new business owners regarding financial management?
Okay, so we have it's a lovely spreadsheet. We spent some time designing this. It's called the Billing Buddy, and the Billing Buddy helps you manage your finances in an effective way. So to pick up on your point there, the corporation tax piece doesn't come as a surprise, because you know what it's going to be as you go through. So the Billing Buddy allows you to work through um, your uh, what do you want to achieve at the end of this month in terms of your finances.
Hmm.
How many hours or how many packages do you need to sell, if you like, to achieve that? And then that's updated on a daily basis. It doesn't take very long. Putting in what you're working towards, your work in progress, stuff you're going to invoice at the end of the month. And each day it recalculates. And if you haven't done anything for 2 days, well, you've got a lot more to do in the remaining 28. So it puts the psychological pressure on to focus your mind on those things that are going to help you achieve what you want to achieve by the end of the month. So like the Billing Buddy, it allows there to be no surprises. It allows you to work through exactly what your VAT and your finances will be. So no surprises is a super rule for finances.
Yeah. And it sounds like a sophisticated cash flow forecast.
It it sounds like it, but actually relatively simple.
Good, good.
It is
Okay.
relatively
Well,
simple.
I think when it comes to financials, simple is best as far as most
Mm.
people are concerned.
And it's quite addictive too. But when you're looking at it, you go, okay, so I achieved that, which means I can perhaps ease off a little bit tomorrow, or I didn't
Mm,
achieve that, which means I need to pull my finger out a little bit the next day.
yeah,
So it's very useful, very useful.
yeah, and I think particularly if you're billing on a monthly basis, and particularly if you're a sole trader, that sort of tool effectively
Yes,
tells you, well, how much profit are you going to have at the end of the month?
that's exactly right. That's exactly
Right.
right. And your clients soon become used to monthly billing.
Yeah,
And again, no surprise for your clients either.
yeah, yeah. So I know you've got a team of people involved in the business, in HR people. Um, what qualities do you look for in the team around you, um, in particular?
Okay, so within sort of HQ, if you like, so we've got admin support and marketing and PR support, and they need to be very effective in what they do. So we're very picky with who we recruit, and pleased to say we've got some really good expert support on that front with super long-term experience. But in terms of the franchisees, the most of the franchisees, all the franchisees are senior HR directors. They know what they're talking about. The individuals we're looking for are those that have those high level of skill. It can be within HR, it can be within training, it can be within part of HR as a skill set. But they have that professionalism running through what they do. That's so important because you can't get it wrong. You have to get it right, because you're often giving advice around the legal compliance, and you've got to get that 100% right. So there's having the desire to work with organizations that will listen to you, will put into place what you've suggested. But what you're able to do is to give them a range of solutions, some which are lower risk, some of which are higher risk. And if you know what they are, the clients can make that decision. It's their business in the end, and they have to decide how they want to play it. As long as I know what the consequences are, that's fine. But in terms of recruiting franchisees, we're looking at only recruiting 2, perhaps even 1 a year, and growing slowly. If we get too big, we're a team of 6 at the moment. If we get too big, you'll lose the reason that most people wanted to leave corporate. You become too corporate, and that's really not what anybody wants. We've all worked with businesses and individuals that we would not wish to work with, and having a team of professionals that are building and growing their own businesses that will collaborate with you to help you grow yours is it's a lovely place to be.
And your business is relatively different from the majority of businesses in this country, in that you effectively have 2 target audiences.
Yes,
quite distinctly different target audiences. So you have obviously the franchisees that you wish to attract to the business in order to grow that side, but obviously you have your prospective customers who are going to come to you for the HR advice that they need. Do you find that creates any issues for you in terms of the ways in which you market our HR people?
Yes, it does. And we faced this challenge right from the start. So the website that we originally set up, as you rightly pointed out, was directly involved and only involved in finding franchisees. So that was the focus. As we had franchisees joined us, we need to make sure that their skills and their customer facing side of things is now much more visible. So at the moment, our landing page is split. So when somebody finds us, you get a split page. Do you want to find out a bit more about our HR services, or do you want to find out about becoming a franchisee? Not ideal. And to that end, we're now in process of changing it to be completely customer focused, with a small section at the top which is come and join us as a franchisee. So it's done on a complete about face. So the ability to adapt what you've got and to react to circumstances and to bespoke what you do is exactly the sort of ethos that we have with our clients too. So it's putting in practice what we in fact ask our franchisees to do.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. So you talked about time management earlier, and the necessity for that if you are a business owner in particular. How do you balance your personal time with the demands of running not just the franchising business, but also I'm assuming you still have customers of your own to whom you're providing HR
Yes,
services?
I do, and it is a real balance. It is a real balance, and currently, I'm reducing the amount of delivery work that I'm doing and passing that to our franchisees. That there's you cannot do it all
Yeah,
with the best will in the world. You'll just run yourself ragged, and that doesn't do anybody any favors. Um, so so yeah, I've got to take some of my own medicine and make sure that I'm being effective as I can be when I'm working with the franchisees, when I'm developing that business, and also I'm offering a responsive service to the clients that I'm still currently serving.
yeah,
It is a challenge, there's no doubt.
yeah, yeah. And so just coming back then, we talked about the marketing side, and how you've slightly evolved your the sort of the focus of your messaging. What marketing tactics have you tried, and which ones have been the most successful for you?
Okay,
And, and,
so
and, and
when
can I ask that in both contexts? So in the context
okay,
of you're finding your
yes.
franchisees, but also in the context of actually finding your customers for your HR services.
Okay, so let's look at finding franchisees to start with. So we'll take that to start with. So originally, I think I mentioned it earlier that we launched at the CIPD conference in November. So that's the Chartered Institute for Personnel Development. They have their annual conference up in Manchester. So we launched there and met our first franchisee there. From there on, we continued to do that, did it for a couple of years, and then built on top of that with working with a recruiter who had specialized in recruiting franchisees.
Hmm.
So he was growing his own business, and so we pinched some of his time, and he recruited a further two franchisees for us. Very effective way of doing it. His business got a little bit too busy,
Yeah.
and so he couldn't deliver us anymore, which was a real shame. And we need to find somebody else like him, that's for sure. The final that has evolved over time is that the last two individuals that decided to join us we found via LinkedIn by a recruitment campaign there.
Okay.
That was a really interesting thing to do. The first time I did it was at year two. We weren't particularly well known, and I think I had 36 people find us. End of last year, same again, very similar advert. Because
Yeah.
message had changed a bit, but very similar advert. I had 1,100 applications. What
Wow.
a difference! What a difference! And Richard and Andy, who joined us from that, have been super team members.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with that. We managed to finally found us. But
And to
definitely we're
what?
using the LinkedIn.
Yeah. And to what do you attribute that difference in the volume of applications that you received? Was it simply the fact that you were now better known, or were the different tactics that you were employing?
Okay, so I wish it was just the fact that we're better known. I don't think it was just that. Certainly, we publish a monthly newsletter for our clients that get distributed. It's on our website too, so we have sort of more followers and a sort of bigger database than we've had previously. But secondly, I think also that COVID and the time we spent at home and working at home and the world of work has changed
Yeah.
absolutely on its head. And that certainly contributed to people deciding, actually, I don't think I want to go back and do that anymore.
So you
I
were
want
able
to
to ride that sort of post-COVID wave
I
of
want to
people
do it.
looking to
Yeah,
work for
yeah,
themselves. Yeah.
yes. I want to do it for me. I want to have something at the end of this. I want to do much more of that top quarter
Mm.
rather than what my company is asking me to do, which is maybe not that a good fit.
Yeah. Okay. And so what are the tactics that have specifically worked for you in terms of finding your customers?
So for customers themselves, um, it has to stem. There's two parts to that. There's the who's my network? Who
Mm,
do I know through my previous employment, um, through my hobbies, my
mhm.
time out of work, uh, uh, second tier, third tier. Who do they know? Who do they know? And that becomes quite a large list of people. And then there's also the brand recognition piece, which is through your website, your newsletters, and becoming a subject matter expert, and getting yourself out there in a networking capacity. It can be a structured networking program, or just meeting with like-minded people, and just you're not selling. You're not selling. You're saying, look, if you like, this is what I do, and if when you or somebody you know needs assistance, then we've got lots of skills that can do that.
Yeah.
It's not only me, because we've got the franchise team that have a completely different skill set. Um, and just pick the phone up, and the newsletter and dropping blogs and so on keeps you front of mind. And when something occurs, it's easier than going to Yellow Pages or trying to do a
Yeah.
search.
Okay. And you mentioned that obviously you've had referrals coming in from your networks.
So
You,
referrals are a really important way, and a
yeah.
great way of finding a long-term relationship with someone. And because people buy from people, and if I get on with, and like attracts like, so if I get on with you, it's likely
Hmm.
that you're going to be happy to recommend me with people who are like you, and have the same skill
Hmm.
set and same values.
Yeah.
And we like working with people who have those values. We have excuse the phrase, a no arsehole rule, so that we really don't want to
Hmm.
work with people that are hard work.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the choice now because we've left corporate,
Hmm.
and we try not to work with those clients because it's very stressful and
Yeah.
quite not worth the effort.
Yes. And I will just quickly point out to anyone who's listening that um, the no arseholes strategy is actually a formally recognized approach to recruitment, which was first formally identified, I think, in the All Blacks. I've forgotten the name of the coach who wrote the book about the success of the All Blacks rugby team. But they have their one of their strategies is summed up very neatly by that particular phrase. Yeah. Um, and do you actually have a formal referral strategy? Because certainly when I'm working with clients, as you just said, I mean referrals are gold dust because somebody else has done all the work for you. They've sung your praises and they've pointed somebody who's readily primed and warmed up straight at
Yes.
you. So it's the perfect marketing strategy. But do you actually have a formal strategy in which you deliberately go out and encourage referrals from people that you know?
Okay, so in terms of finding franchisees, yes, we do, is the
Mm.
answer to that one, and that's a financial incentive.
Yeah,
That one, individuals don't have to accept that finance. It can go off to a charity or something like that, but that's the process for that. Um, for finding clients, less so. We do rely on word of mouth. There's no denying that. But most people are happy to do so without the incentive.
mm, yeah,
If I'm getting referrals purely for a monetary basis, that doesn't fit
mm,
great. I'd much rather you recommended us because you did a good job,
yeah,
and that you got some value out of what we were able to do. So I don't encourage that. But if somebody wants to do that, yeah, we're not going to say no, don't do it.
yeah,
Just be aware that there's a different motivation behind that referral you're getting. It might not be quite the one that you want.
yeah. Yeah. Right. Um, so thinking about where the business is going at the moment, I know when we first spoke, you said you've got a bit of a plan. I mean, where do you see our HR people in the next in 5 years' time?
Okay, 5 years' time. So we have 5, 6 franchisees at the moment and 6 sites. And we're looking to take on perhaps 1 or 2 per year. So we can contain our growth to a manageable pace, and keep that unique sort of bespoke or niche consultancy, if you want to call it that. But each of the franchisees are growing their own business themselves in their own way with our guidance, and that's a real privilege to get involved with that. And we don't want to get that big, because you can lose it. You really can. So the individuals we're looking to recruit are those that are driven to work for themselves. They have that. Yes, I've been itching to do this, but never had the opportunity, and that often comes after redundancy or a decision that I really can't work with this company anymore. And that desire not to actually completely be on your own. It's a lonely place out there, actually, when you're starting out with a blank sheet of paper, and you get to, well, what do I call myself, and how do I budget, how do I charge, how do I put a proposal in? It's very different from corporate, and what we're able to do is to shortcut that, and for people to come as part of a team and work collaboratively. So if there's a client that wants training development and that's not your skill, well, one of us will be able to work with you to achieve that and land that lead that you've got for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to just go reverse slightly, because we were talking about USP earlier, and the importance of having a point of difference. So what makes our HR people unique? And I don't want to be disparaging with this comment, but there are an awful lot of HR consultants out there at the moment.
Yes, there
I
are.
come across them very regularly, and so I'm yes. How do you set yourselves apart from all of these other people who have also left corporate life and decided to set up on their own?
Okay, it's a question that constantly keeps me awake at night. We need to make sure that we are achieving that, and the way that we're achieving that is by not being, if you like, a one-man band. Right. Each individual has their own skills, and can utilize that top box for their clients. And if they want to run their business related to that top box, we'll assist them to do that. So there are a number of HR franchises out there, and that's fine. And we're different because we're not taking something off the shelf and saying follow the instructions, which is the traditional franchisee way from McDonald's but yes, and so on and so forth. We're saying you're able to utilize our marketing, our place in the market, our team's individual strengths, and offer those to your clients and prospective clients. And that's a differentiator for my recruitment in terms of franchisor, and also for the clients that our franchisees are working with. They get more than one person when they take one of the franchisees on. It's almost like a one-stop shop, but that's a horrible phrase. I don't like it particularly. But it's true in this instance. There are a whole range of skills and strengths that people bring to this that each of us can use and pull on and cover for holiday, that sort of thing too.
Okay, so obviously your target audience is slightly your messaging is appropriate for your target audience. That's the first thing we learn in marketing.
Yes, exactly. Mhm.
And so what is your ideal customer? What can you describe them, and how do they differ from perhaps the average person looking for HR support?
So we work with a whole range of companies. So the ideal company is somebody uh, who wants to grow their business.
Hmm.
They're ethically driven. Um, they want to do the best they can for their team members whilst they're working for them,
Hmm.
and they also know that what they're doing now is not perfect. It could be because they want to grow. It could be because this is their first employee, and
Hmm.
we've never done this before. And I'm guessing. So there's a number of of points that people decide. Actually, I can't do this on my own anymore. It could be from an employee relations point of view that I'm having to do my first dismissal or my first reorganisation and redundancies. So that's where we get involved. It's those sort of trigger points.
Yeah.
Um, and it really varies from people who have their first. I have a letting agent um, that has one employee now, and that was a steep learning curve for somebody who had set up quite quickly
Hmm.
and decided to need assistance. He's like, oh, okay, didn't know all this legislation, didn't know about
Hmm.
well, payroll stuff. So he said, okay, so here, just sit back, listen, and we'll talk you through it all. To medium-sized companies that need to do something different because they've got to a certain size.
Yeah.
So that the directors need to step back and have another tier, a sort of
Hmm.
senior leadership team. So there's development around that. And then there's the larger organizations that we work with, which can be in particular niches. One of our franchisees has a niche in student accommodation, and she has the startups and the large corporates there, and that's often much more around. We need an external resource now to help us
Yeah.
because we haven't got the internal resource to manage something, whether it's training development or executive coaching or mediation because there's an issue that they're having to face.
Right. Okay. Good. And this is I'm very interested by the way you were describing your ideal sort of customer there, because um, I am frequently asked a similar question. Do you specialize in a particular sector? What sort of clients do you look for? And my response to that question is always the same, which is that the only thing my clients have in common is attitude,
Very good.
because
Yes. Yes.
they are ambitious, they want to grow, they're
Mhm.
open-minded, and it sound and the way you were describing your customers there sounded very similar, which was quite interesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very similar indeed. Yes, and that's what makes working with those companies so rewarding because you're
Mm.
with them on that journey,
Yeah.
and you're um, you come across new experiences with each one because each business is unique. But there are certain similarities that you can
Yeah.
then bring to the party that you've come across with your other clients.
Mm.
So it's very rewarding indeed,
Yeah.
and it is a real privilege to be allowed to influence businesses
Yeah.
and to work with the senior teams to achieve that and to be trusted to be
Yeah.
able to do so. It's a thing that as you know, trust is built over time and often starts with something relatively small. Um, and um, let's be fair. Often we'll find a client because they need a contract or an employment, or there's a
Mm.
dismissal they need to handle. And because you handle that well, if you like, you're then trusted to
Mm.
become part of a wider team.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And yes, everybody the everybody talks about know, like, and trust these days. It's sort of replaced all the traditional models of how we sort of go to market, and the sort of process of finding people to become customers. Right. Good. So a few more quick questions. I'm conscious of time. Although we could probably spend the rest of the day chatting.
Yes, having such fun.
But so a couple of other questions for you then. What do you think has been the key to success for you?
The key to success for me has not is not being reliant completely on my own skills. Yes, you can multitask. Yes, you can have skills in training, HR, business management, but you cannot do everything. And pulling in external expertise and taking advice as you go along, without a doubt, has made the massive difference.
Yeah. and based on your response to that particular question, that may be the same answer to the one I'm about to ask you, which is
Okay.
what one piece of advice would you give to other business owners?
One piece of advice to give to business owners, well, that's an easy one. That's give us a call, because if your HR and your legal and your training and development is not where it should be, it's about time you sorted it out. Give us a call if you do.
Yeah. Okay. And this is in fact a question that I always ask my clients, or certainly people when I first speak to them. If you could improve any one thing in your business in the next couple of months, what's that one thing that you would want to change or make better?
One thing I'd want to change. One thing I'd want to change. What would make it better? Oh man. Well, there's an exciting thing going on at the moment, is that there is a legislation change coming up soon. And in October, the sexual harassment duty to proactively manage this is coming in. And for us in this sector, that's the biggest change in 20 years. And that's quite inspiring at the moment. And I'm going to have to make time to ensure that we're ready for that and our clients are ready for it. So I'd like some more time, please. And I'm going to have to make more time for that to happen so that we're ready for it.
Yeah, and you mentioned this briefly when we spoke previously, but yes, I think I suspect this is one of these things that most business owners are going to be completely unaware of until it actually passes into law, and then suddenly it's going to be there. So
you have to prepare for this, and it's not going to be straightforward either. It's the more we delve into the guidance that came out recently, and the legislation that's going to underpin it. It's something that employers are going, what another hoop we have to well, it's more than tick boxing, and you have to do this. Is a duty that employers have to meet, and it's going to be very expensive if they get it wrong. It has the potential to be, if it goes to tribunal and this duty is not met, not only can your company be investigated by the Equalities Commission, but your compensation will be increased by up to 25%, and that's a commercial imperative. You've got to get that right.
Yeah, it's a bit frightening. And just remind me, Steve, what's the name of this legislation again?
This is the Worker Protection. Here we go, technical adjustment to the Equality Act 2010. So it's the duty to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah,
and it becomes law in October this year.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's certainly something that yes, I will be. Now that you've pointed it out to me, because I was completely oblivious to this, I will be raising this with all of my own clients, and and recommending that
we'll be talking more about. So we'll be talking more about this in our newsletter. So everybody wants to sign up to that, please do.
Yeah.
There'll be plenty of advice and guidance coming through over the next few months.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for our listeners, what can you just give us the details of your website? Where will they go to find your newsletter or to register for it?
Yeah, of course. So it's www.ourhrpeople, that's OUR HR and then people.co.uk, so Our HR People. or you can contact me directly and we can send you these new letters at steve@ourhrpeople.co.uk. Be delighted to talk to you.
Great. Okay, that's fantastic. My last question, and I'm always talking about this as a coach because I'm constantly reminding people that as an individual, as a business owner, we cannot grow without learning. It is essential. So is there a particular book that you have read recently, or that you're currently reading that you would sort of recommend to people that you
Well,
found?
there are two. I'm going to cheat. There are two
Okay.
that I'm working through them now, and they're both related to our discussion. The first one is The Answer is a Question, and it's by Laura Ashley Timms and Dominic Ashley Timms. It's a really useful an easy way to transform your impact as a manager and leader. I found that very useful. And the STAR technique, which they described, is a very good way of remembering this. The second one is Conscious Inclusion, and this is Catherine Garrod, and this is how to make your organization much more inclusive, and how inclusivity can help your business to take advantage of some of the unique gifts that people who sometimes feel outside of the working life and what they can bring to your organization in a very structured way. It's a very, very useful, user-friendly book.
Great. Well, thank you for those. Thank you for those two suggestions. I'm going to wrap it up there, Steve. Thank you very much indeed for being our guest on the podcast today, and for the sharing your story with us and that advice as well. And yeah, I'm good luck with the growth of your business in future, and I very much look forward to seeing how our HR people progresses, and maybe winning some awards at the Franchise Association Awards.
Well, we managed to get a new franchisee of the year a couple of years ago, so we're hoping to build on that. Now we're not quite so new.
Great. Well, yes, I look forward to seeing which categories you top in the future. But thank you very much for talking to me today.
Right. Thank you, Justin.